Thank you for joining us this evening at our Catch 22 launch party. My name's Andrew Kukla. I'm the board chair at Catch, but also avid supporter of our mission and goal to end family homelessness. More families in Idaho are experiencing homelessness than ever before, and we're at a pivotal moment to bring together the coalition that can help answer that problem. And so we're important and glad that you're here tonight to learn more, and we hope you become a part of our Catch 22 program, becoming a monthly donor. For just $22 a month, you can be a part of the solution and help us house 22 more families experiencing homelessness in 2022. With that, I now have the pleasure of introducing our MC for this evening's Catch 22 launch. Gretchen Parsons is a journalist and the managing editor at Boise Dev, a locally owned news site focused on business, development, and the economy of greater Boise. She has nearly a decade of experience in journalism, starting her career in Boise as anchor and reporter at KTVB. And in her limited free time, she loves to run, cook, and explore new restaurants. We're really grateful that she is here. Thank you, Gretchen. And thank you all.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. Like Andrew said, I'm Gretchen Parsons, and I'm so excited to be your MC tonight, and I'm really excited to partner with Catch. They provide so many critical and important services to people who are experiencing homelessness. And tonight we're going to hear from a panel of speakers, and we're going to talk more about homelessness in the Treasure Valley. We're also going to hear directly from a family who experienced what it's like to be homeless. We're going to hear her story, and we're also going to talk about all the ways that you can help support. So with that, first I want to start and begin. We're going to start with our panel that focuses on homelessness in Idaho. And I'd like to introduce Stephanie Day. She's the Catch Executive Director. She's also joined by Jet Curtis, the Catch Director of Our Path Home Connect. Thank you both so much for joining us, and tell us a little bit about what it is you guys do.
Sure. So thank you so much, Gretchen. Trying to stay in the frame. We at Catch are here to hopefully end homelessness in the Treasure Valley. All of the programs that we have are targeted at that goal. I am the executive director of Catch, so kind of the support for the teams and hopefully vision caster and cheerleader for everybody getting everything done. And this is Jeanette Curtis.
Yeah, I'm Jack Curtis. I'm a social worker and the director of our street outreach team, which is a 5-person team that goes out into the community and connects with people who are experiencing homelessness in Boise and Ada County.
Both of you all are here. And Stephanie, I want to start out by asking you, maybe you can tell our audience a little bit more about who exactly is experiencing homelessness in the Treasure Valley?
Yeah, that's a great question. So just about anybody that you can think of is experiencing homelessness in the Treasure Valley. It's really interesting when we have the entry point into all the homeless services housed in our organization. And when you sit down with folks, they have all different kinds of life experiences. We have about 230 families that are currently living in shelters or on the streets. And we have about 400 adult-only households. So that could be single people, parents that have adult children, the elderly, just the whole spectrum of kids transitioning out of foster care. I will say about half of the families that we see in Ada County are fleeing domestic violence. And by far, the majority of folks that come through the system have experienced some form of major traumatic situation in their lives.
A lot of people that do need help in our community. So Jet, maybe you can tell us more about what your team is doing to meet people who are experiencing homelessness. Where are they at? Maybe you can touch on the warming shelter and also maybe touch on those demonstrations that we've seen happening at the Capitol.
Right, Gretchen. So our team does go out into the community to find people who are experiencing homelessness wherever they're at. We do prioritize people who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness because we're just trying to make sure we reach them and let them know what their options are. So we do get referrals from community members and from partner organizations like the police and the libraries to find where people are. But then we also go to known locations where we know people who are experiencing homelessness may hang out or come for services during the day. And right now, we are spending time every day at the Phoenix Warming Shelter. That's a temporary space that has warmed up for people to come during the day, opened up for them to come. So we're meeting a lot of new people who are taking advantage of that service. And then we are checking on the Capitol protests every day. There's a small contingent of people from the unhoused community who are there protesting every day. And we just want to make sure that they're safe and they have what they need and that they know what their options are. We fully support their right to protest. We just want to make sure that they're warm and safe and have what they need.
And with that being said, Stephanie and Jet, maybe you both can shed light on this. What are some common misconceptions that people might have when they think of the homeless community?
You want to start that one?
Yeah, one of the myths I hear a lot is that people from the unhoused community are violent criminals or are more likely to be criminals. And the truth is, most of our folks are incredibly vulnerable people, much more likely to be victims of a crime than perpetrators of a crime. And if you really look at the kind of tickets our folks are racking up, they're mostly what you would call crimes of homelessness. So sleeping outside in an area where it's not allowed, having your belongings spread out on public or private property. Those are things they're getting ticketed for. Just being outside and then getting in that cycle of tickets and having to resolve things through the court system. So much less likely that they're violent criminals than the general society.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, I hear a lot of thoughts around folks potentially being lazy or having made bad choices, or everyone is using drugs, things like that, that I think are commonly said within our society. And just wanting folks to know that people who are in a housing crisis are 100% living in this moment in crisis. And so whatever it takes to survive this moment is the only focus that they have. So it might not be that they're lazy. It might be that they're so focused on trying to figure out how to get to a safe place tonight or how to find a meal tonight that they're not able to handle a lot of other tasks to pull their attention away from that. We know that when people in any form of scarcity, like if you have a tight deadline or anything like that, your attention is just really, really laser focused. And so I think a lot of times people misunderstand the fact that people are in survival mode and that they're just trying to get their basic needs met in this moment. And they make assumptions about what that means about their choice making in other areas of their lives. And so that would be probably the one that I would want to speak to.
I think one more that we hear a lot, and we just heard at the protest over the weekend, is get a job, get yourself out of this, get a house. And the truth is quite a few of the people that we work with have incomes. They either have a job or they have Social Security income. It's poverty, and their incomes are low enough that combined with barriers that they face in the current affordable housing market, they just really can't get out.
Well, Jet and Stephanie, thank you both, because I think those are really important points and information to keep in mind when we are thinking and talking about the homeless community. That's a perfect transition to our next segment, because we want to share with you all a short video about a woman and her family, Mindy, who experienced homelessness in the Treasure Valley. So let's take a look at that video.
I knew what I was up against. I was up against being homeless, maybe finding a shelter, and that with my young son, who was only 11 at the time. And we chose not to go into shelter due to they had the lockdown, and that was quite scary for both of us. We tried, and I luckily had a tent with us, and so we tented.
Mindy's a good example of perseverance, of hope.
I was scared to death. I was so scared that staying in the park in the tent and keep my son and I safe.
I was trying to think of the best word, and I think it's courage.
At the time it took for this to happen, it seems slow as it's coming and going, and you're working hard at it. But now that it's here and I'm able to have my Christmas decorations out and have you all over, I can't believe it.
There were probably quite a few times when Mindy wanted to quit, wanted to yell at us, wanted to yell at the world, wanted to run.
When I was wanting to leave, I just was like, man, this is not going to be easy. I want to go. And she just calmly said, we hope you don't do that. And I was able to rest with that night and go, well, yeah, that's a lot more logical thing to do than to hop on a Greyhound.
But she didn't. An opportunity presented that none of us knew was even available, and we never would have known if she wouldn't have kept coming back. And I think that's a great example of you never know what's going to come next as long as you keep showing up.
I was so amazed at how quickly they were able to work with me. Just the extra miles they were actually able to do and willing to do was incredible.
Well, we help families in our community, so I feel it's vitally important. It's a part of the community. We are supported by the community. We accept community funds. We use that funds to go back towards community families. We help our families furnish their new homes with donations that we get from the community. It's kind of a full circle community engagement.
They'll do their best to get back to you and give you some sort of resource. So you might run into a lot more roadblocks. They're just willing to help remove those along the way and at your pace. And it's just worth so much.
Mindy actually did the work, and Mindy's the one who's achieved those goals. I am proud of her.
It's nice to feel like I can be home and relax, you know, because I know what I'm getting up to do tomorrow. I will always be an advocate, somebody that's speaking loudly for Catch, that it's the program that helps people, really helps anyone and everyone, the people who I saw through there. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Wow, that was a really powerful story. Mindy Wilson, she's joining us now. Mindy, thank you for being brave and having the courage to share that with us. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about your experience being homeless and how Catch helped you, just get into a new, completely different situation and back on your feet.
Sure, I could. I'm Mindy Wilson. I definitely did experience homelessness here in my hometown of Boise, Idaho. And all of that is true. It just doesn't matter who you are. It can happen to anyone. And I had put in enough money to get a cell phone, like a type of throwaway phone, and to just get the calls out that we were in desperate need and in help, and to look for jobs and look for where the help was. I hadn't heard of Catch until I got a hold of that manual, the self-help manual, and some other people had referred me. But like with any of the other groups that do help out there, the calls started coming in, and these people were genuine and wanted to help so much. It was a little bit overwhelming, but in that, I just had to trust that they really were for our benefit to be there. Homelessness is not a fun deal, and it's going to be hard, but there are plenty of programs out there, and Catch is a number one with me.
You mentioned the word overwhelmed. I can't imagine how overwhelming that would be to be in that situation you were in, and how I'm sure Catch must have been just super beneficial because all the resources are right there and they can point you along and help you with different things. But like you said, you didn't know about the information. How did Catch make it, easy, probably definitely not the right word, but helpful to be able to connect you with different services that are so important?
Yeah, they definitely did. And when I would meet with my case manager, we had to go around a lot of the COVID things, which people would still need to have to do. But with that obstacle, they just were able to help me remove obstacles that were in the way, or stay focused on what was, due that week, or what would best benefit the overall goal, which was to become housed that week. They give you a choice to, or at least my case manager did, we can meet every other week or once a week. And I said, let's do this. Let's meet once a week. I don't want anything to fall to the side. And with with the things in the community, or different entities not being able to work with you, not knowing, let's say, which apartment complexes will work with your type of income, they help narrow that right down so you can get after it and put the work in.
Thank you again so much for sharing your story with us, Mindy. I want to also introduce our rapid rehousing panel. We're joined by Jeremy Blades. He is the Catch Director of Housing. Also, Abby White. She's our Catch Case Manager. Thank you both for joining us. Jeremy, I want to start off by asking you a question. Can you share more information about all the services? Mindy kind of told us, but talk about more about, the services that Catch can provide.
Yeah. When a family first comes in, our goal is to get them housed as quickly as possible. We use what's called a housing first model. And what that is exactly like it sounds, that we want to do housing first. We want to get them the housing as fast as we can. We do that through identifying their unique barriers, trying to help them figure out what needs to happen to overcome those barriers. We can help financially with app fees, with deposit, with rent support. And really, each family is different, and how long that takes is different based on their story and what we're working with. But that's always our goal, is to get them housed as quickly as possible. We do try to help them furnish their home as best we can. We survive off donations from the community and our partners in the community. And so whatever we have at any given time, we try to help the family furnish their home. But actually what we find is most of our families are pretty resourceful, and they're very good at getting their needs met as well. And then, after lease signing is the case management process, the part of healing and stability. And Abby can talk more about that. And how long that process takes can be different for each family, but typically, before COVID, that was about 6 to 8 months usually a family would stabilize. With COVID, it's gotten extended a little bit, but I feel like 2022 is a good year. We've kind of reinvigorated ourselves to our mission, and we want to get back to getting this going.
Thank you, Jeremy and Abby. We just mentioned you're a case manager. Let's talk more about what case management support looks like. And also, I'm told that you've helped house over 100 families since working with Catch, and I want to hear more about that as well.
Sure. So that number 100 is pretty crazy to hear, because I've been working with Catch for 9 years. So we have to remember that's been spread out over almost a decade. And it definitely has taken a collaboration between Catch and local landlords. So it's been a community effort for sure. And so, yeah, the case management side of things, that's really the part where Catch and the family that we're working with get to work on, okay, how am I going to stay housed? Now that I am housed, what steps need to happen for me to maintain my stability, become financially independent, be able to take over rent? And so it's really kind of a shared goal to reach that point of self-sufficiency. And so we co-create these goals with the families. And everybody is different. Some families need to focus on budgeting, whereas others might really need support in connecting to employment. So it could be a number of things. Mental health is always something too that we want to help the family heal and have a good kind of foundation. Connecting to resources, as Mindy was talking about, really helping them build up as much resiliency as possible so that they can stay strong and stay housed. And so that's, it's a little more complex. And so that's like kind of in a nutshell what the case management process looks like. But it's an honor to be able to walk with the families through that journey.
Very much, Abby. And before we move on to our next panel, our next segment, Mindy, while we still have you, what else do you want people to know about, other people in the Treasure Valley who are experiencing homelessness?
I want them to know that not to be as hard on themselves as I know I was internally, and to make those calls and reach out and to call Catch.
Anything else you'd like to share about how Catch helped you or your time being homeless?
I would just say that it's incredible the time you have, and so just do your very best each day, no matter what, and keep your head up. Um, it, it's hard to look back. It really is. It was a good time, but it was a hard good time. And Catch, if I hadn't have found them, I mean, they're my angels. They really are. So it's a great program.
Well, thank you very much, and we're very grateful to have you today so we can hear firsthand how they helped you. Thank you so much, Mindy. And now we're going to move on to our next segment. We're going to talk about the partnership that Catch has with developers and property managers. So I want to introduce Caleb Root, the owner of Pacific Companies, and also Baltimore Gonzalez. Caleb, can you introduce yourself for us, please?
Sure. Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you, Catch, for having me. And my name is Caleb Roop. I'm the CEO of the Pacific Companies. We are focused on the development and ownership of affordable housing in the Western United States. And we're based in Boise, Idaho, Eagle specifically, and have properties up and down the valley, and are great to have our partnership with Catch and the things that we're able to accomplish together. So that's just a little bit about us. I can go into more detail if you want.
That's perfect. Thank you. And Baltimore, why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is you do?
Yeah, so my role with Catch is the landlord relationship specialist. I'm in charge of working with housing providers in the area, locating them, partnering with them, and also maintaining and building relationships with them to continue housing families.
All right, thanks. And Stephanie is joining us again as well. And Stephanie, you've said that affordable housing inventory, it's the greatest barrier right now from getting people and families housed. Why don't you talk about a little bit more about that, and also how important these partnerships with developers and property owners are?
Yeah, thanks, Gretchen. So I think I've just recently really had a revelation about what's going on with our housing market right now. And we know that before COVID hit, we did not have enough housing. And then there was a lot of growth into the community and a lot of people moving here, which tightens the housing market even further. And then what we've seen over the last year is a lot of people who were kind of our partners in a more informal affordable housing piece of the system, people who maybe owned one or two rentals and they were willing to rent those units at affordable rates. Almost everybody that had a rental in Boise has sold their rentals over the last year. And that means that the mortgage is now 3 or 4 times what it was. And the rents are going up $500-$600 a month. So we're kind of in this Bermuda Triangle of affordable housing availability where we didn't have enough, we lost even more, and now we're like losing even more. So we're in probably the worst housing market I remember seeing in the last 13 years, and I'm sure it's probably worse than before that as well. So affordable housing is going to be the key to really moving the needle in addressing ending homelessness. And our partners in that are going to be the most important partners that we have over the next several years. And that's why we so much appreciate partners like Caleb, because the affordable housing piece is really the key to figuring out how we're going to end homelessness as a community at this point.
And so, Caleb, my next question is for you. I want to ask you, why did your company decide to partner with Catch, and what are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is that you guys have just had a bunch of topics on what Catch does, okay? And as an affordable housing developer, we really don't do any of those things. What we're really good at is building buildings and financing those buildings and garnering state and local and federal subsidy to deliver affordable housing, because the free market's not going to deliver that. And so what we need are partners that can take care of residents in a way that is uncommon to what we're able to do. And in particular, when you're dealing with folks experiencing homelessness or in that situation or fleeing domestic violence or whatever, there's a lot of special attention and maybe case management even that goes along with that. And we're just not qualified to do that. So if you're a development company that actually cares about ending homelessness, and I think if you asked every development company, they would probably say to you that they indeed are interested in ending homelessness, or like not having homelessness become the problem that it is, say in Seattle or Portland or San Francisco or Los Angeles. You'll get a feel that they do actually care. The question is, are they going to do something about it? And if you're committed to doing something about it, you need a partner like Catch or somebody similar that allows you to be able to take care of those residents in a proper way, address their needs, which can be uncommon to the kind of the standard resident you might otherwise have in your building. And it becomes very critical that synergy exists in order to allow effective care of those folks, and then keep the property stable, which is what you can guarantee developers do care about for economic reasons as well as their identity. So for all those reasons, the partnership's essential, and I wouldn't do it any other way. We build housing for the homeless all over the West, and in every case, without exception, we have a very skilled service-providing nonprofit partner that knows how to take care of the residents in a way that's effective and good for their lives.
Caleb, what would you say to other developers, property owners who may be on the fence about working with Catch?
Well, I can understand why it might be a little uncomfortable for folks to go down this road. It's not easy work, as you heard from your guest speaker, Mindy, there that had went through her journey. A lot of times these folks do have challenges, and so from sort of a pure property management perspective, of course, everybody wants the single nurse that works at St. Luke's that is no drama and the best rent-paying tenant ever. And a lot of folks don't have that opportunity, and so you're dealing with a group of people sometimes that have come from difficult circumstances. And I just would say, first and foremost, for those developers out there, if we all collectively join together, we can solve a problem, and we can never let Boise become those coastal cities that I mentioned. We can actually work together to turn this out. And by stepping in together and helping solve this problem collectively, that's in play. In fact, we're leading an initiative right now with some other developers in the community called the 300 Homes Initiative, specifically for bringing units in higher rent market rate units, discounting those to affordable rates, and working with Catch to be able to place their clients, their customers in those units. And if you can take 1 or 2 units in a 200 unit building, and everybody starts chipping in a little bit, lo and behold, we can get to the solution much quicker than if, let's say, we're building new affordable units that take significant federal and state and local subsidy to do that. So I would encourage all those developers to step up and help join me and others and do the right thing, and let's solve the problem together.
Well, thank you, Caleb. This next question is for Baltimore. I want to know more about the property owner side and how they work with Catch. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we make it pretty straightforward and simple for the landlords or property managing companies to work with us. Just reach out, whether it's to myself or Catch directly via email, phone call, and we'll set you up with we'll match you with a family that fits that specific unit to make sure it's a win-win for both sides. We actually let them go through the application process, and then if it's a fit for both sides, then we move over to the financial aspect of it, and that's where the landlord partnership program comes in. With the partnership program, there's a lot of financial benefits and also supports for landlords that are very beneficial that you don't get somewhere else with a regular tenant, because at the end of the day, it's a risk to work with any applicant that applies to your unit. So at least with Catch, you have those support systems in place to make sure that to mitigate any risk. So some of the financial aspects of it, we do provide higher security deposits. We also can pay upfront rent, first and last month's rent upfront, and also provide those supportive services. So we do quarterly home visits, making sure that your unit, all the lease terms are being followed. There's no lease violations happening. We also have a damage fund and a vacancy fund for landlords on top of the security deposit in case there are damages or the unit has to be turned over for whatever reason. You're not out of pocket that money. So we have all of these benefits in place to mitigate all the risk for landlords. And of course, there's always going to be some risk, no matter how much we offer the landlords. But at the end of the day, having these support systems in place definitely make a lot of landlords confident when working with us. And we definitely have landlords that would vouch for us. So please reach out if you want to know more about the landlord partnership program. And also we can help you connect you with some landlords that would be able to give you some feedback and experiences with Catch. And a lot of them are very, very positive experiences.
Well, I was going to ask you about what some of the benefits of working with Catch are, but you just answered that.
Oh,
perfectly.
yep. I got ahead of myself.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you very much. Well, we've certainly heard a lot of information about the services that Catch provides, what this organization is doing to help people in our community who are experiencing homelessness. So, Stephanie, a lot of information. What do you want people to take away from this?
I hope that people just take away from this conversation that it really takes a village to end homelessness. And every single one of us are going to have to come together to do it if we want to be in a community where every single person has their basic needs met. I know that sometimes, like, if we're not experiencing homelessness ourselves, maybe we don't really think about how we're impacted by it. But if we think about it, impacts the lives of the people that experience it. It impacts your kids' lives as they go to school and maybe sit next to a child who didn't sleep last night because they were living in an emergency shelter. It could affect the person that's serving you at a restaurant. It could affect the teacher's aide in your kid's classroom. It really penetrates every level of society. And when we think about how communities are shaped culturally by how they respond to homelessness, how Portland and Seattle and LA have really been, their cultures have been shifted by their homelessness experiences. We are all deeply affected by homelessness, and we are all going to have to come to the table to make it happen. And there are things that all of us can do tangibly to contribute to ending homelessness. So there is hope. It is very difficult to live in the midst of working with people who are in despair, who are really stressed out, who are living in their cars or on the streets. But there is hope. We know what we need to do. And if we have enough community will to make it happen, it's going to happen. So I hope that people take that away. There is hope, and we can do this.
Now we have another short video about Catch. So let's take a look at that.
I knew what I was up against. I was up against being homeless, maybe finding a shelter, and that with my young son, who was only 11 at the time.
Sleeping in cars and then in the shelter eventually. Finally had to get it together and do what was best for her and I.
That calm that comes as a parent to know that there is a roof over our heads, that he can sleep at night, not worrying about where we're going to be next.
And we ended up sleeping in like a little garage thing. It wasn't even like an enclosed space, and I ended up waking up so sick. So it feels good to have a home.
I was scared to death. I was so scared that, well, not only that I wouldn't be able to find my family members here, but also that when I did, not all of them were going to be receptive.
The Catch program has made a lot of things possible that I would have never even thought would be able to happen.
Catch is a local grassroots nonprofit that is focused on ending homelessness in the Treasure Valley. We are all totally interconnected, so whether or not someone in the community is experiencing homelessness, their neighbors might be, or the kids that their kids go to school with might be. And what we do is try to help connect the entire community so that no one is left behind, so that every family and every person has a home.
I was so amazed at how quickly they were able to work with me. Just the extra miles they were actually able to do and willing to do was incredible.
Housing is our North Star. However, there are many things that we do to help folks who are experiencing homelessness.
Financially, Catch helped us out for a good year or so. And I always describe it as like they help, the Catch program helped me catch up.
They'll do their best to get back to you and give you some sort of resource. So you might run into a lot more roadblocks. They're just willing to help remove those along the way and at your pace. And it's just worth so much.
Homelessness gets at the root of all of the other issues that we have in our community. All of the other aspects of a holistic, healthy life kind of start with housing to help families get to a place where they can really root and grow.
Catch is truly unique in our approach to helping folks get back up on their feet. We believe in everyone, and we provide hope.
There's no words to describe and express the thanks that I have for the Catch program and the people in it that support it.
It's nice to feel like I can be home and relax, you know, because I know what I'm getting up to do tomorrow.
Ending homelessness in Idaho is solvable. We can do this. It's going to take a community of support to make it happen.
We are all a community, and it really takes a village to end homelessness.
I will always be an advocate, somebody that's speaking loudly for Catch, that it's the program that helps people. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
I think it's really important and powerful for people to hear those real stories, the voices you just heard on that video, and to hear from Mindy, just to know that it really affects people in our community. Stephanie, I think that's so important.
Yeah, and Gretchen, thank you so much for being our MC this evening. And just want to leave folks with the thought that Catch 22 is a real tangible way that all of us can be contributing to the work to end homelessness in the community. And if you want to know any more information, please feel free to visit our website at catchidaho.org. We're super, super grateful that everyone spent the time this evening to learn a little bit about homelessness, hopefully learn a little bit about homelessness, and to come together as a community to really work on addressing this issue.
Well, again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight and learning more about Catch and all the vital ways that they help serve and protect our community. And like Stephanie said, if you want to find out any more information on Catch, just head over to their website. You can also sign up for Catch 22 and help be part of the solution for just $22 a month. Thank you all again so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your evening.